What happens when you say yes to an adventure that scares you a little and you trust a friend to go with you? On today's episode, we head to Patagonia with two travelers whose friendship and courage grew stronger with every mile. From condors circling overhead to a surprise snowstorm and a Via Ferrata that pushed us all beyond our comfort zones. This is the story about the power of saying yes. Let's dive in. Before we start, I want to just mention our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by the 2026 Six Pack of Peaks Challenge Series, which is your gateway to a year filled with adventure. We've changed it up for 2026. This year, one membership gives you access to all 17 regional challenges across the country, with even more on the way, and the ability for you to mix and match. So, whether you're discovering new trails, chasing summits and peak bagging, or just connecting with fellow hikers, this is your invitation to commit to adventure. Join the community and start your 2026 challenge today at socialhikers.com. All right. So today we're talking with Carissa and Janice. They're going to help relive an adventure that we shared last year when we took a group of people from social hikers down to Patagonia. We went to the mountain town of El Chaltén, which is right within the national park. And we're going to talk a little bit about that adventure and why trips like this can really change you. So, we're going to take a quick look at what that's all about. Carissa is somebody that I've known for many years. She's been involved in the Six Pack of Peaks as an ambassador and a longtime, legacy challenger. Janice, I met for the first time on this trip, but I know the two of them have been friends for a long time, and Janice has been hiking for many years. And they were just a lot of fun. I liked their energy as friends, and I thought they would be great people to bring on to talk about this sort of adventure trip, adventure travel experience and what it was like. So, welcome to the Social Adventures podcast. I really appreciate you all joining, and please like and subscribe so that we can keep the momentum building. All right, so I'm going to introduce you guys. We don't have them on video today, but here they are on the screen. It's Janice on the left and Carissa on the right. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. Oh, shoot. You're in the green room. Okay. We cannot. Okay. Ooh. I have to figure out. Hmm. Okay. I got to edit this. Yeah.
I just told Janice, you're going to have to edit that.
I'm going to have to edit that. So apparently, we had a little technical glitch there because I had your video turned off since we're not really using the video for this podcast, and that also happened to turn off your audio. So I had to add your video. It's turned on in the background, but so we can hear you. So Janice and Carissa, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to know each other and how long you've been friends.
Okay, so this is Carissa. First off, just want to say that I've enjoyed being part of the SoCal Hiker Six Pack of Peak Adventures. I've been an ambassador for 9 years. Something I've enjoyed from the start and continue to enjoy. Done a lot of adventures, a lot of things with Six Pack, met a lot of people, was able to resource and go on some amazing trips. Janice, I met actually at a gym that we attended. We both realized that we loved hiking, and that's kind of what started the friendship. I'm going to hand over to Janice so she can further talk about herself.
Yeah. No, before I met Chris, I was always an avid outdoors person. I liked going to the mountains, but always needed to find somebody to hike to show me a little bit more of the mountains. So when I met her, it was the perfect match. So from there, we just started exploring and kept booking trips and getting to know each other a lot better, which was a lot of fun. So,
That's how it
Yeah,
started.
yeah. And Carissa, I know that you've done some other trips with other Six Pack of Peaks challengers and stuff too in the past. Like we just recorded an episode that dropped last Tuesday with Jason Parks, who did Kilimanjaro in February of this year. And you did Kilimanjaro with some other Six Pack folks back in 2018, I think.
Yeah, and that was with Tony Ramos, Jason as well, who were both ambassadors at the time.
Yeah,
So yeah, just meeting people from the group, I was able to do a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have done independently.
yeah. And I'm going with the group to Kilimanjaro next month. So pretty excited
I know
about
I'm so
that.
excited for you
Ooh.
guys.
We have one of the couples in that group actually met doing the six pack and are now married.
Oh, that's
And
oh my
amazing.
gosh.
That's cool.
and
That's what a
and
story to
and
tell.
and they're climbing Kilimanjaro. So that's pretty awesome.
Oh.
That is definitely
Um,
cool.
all right, so let's talk a little bit about the scene. Why Patagonia stuck out for you. So, you heard, we launched sort of the Patagonia trip. The date was set. What made you guys say yes to Patagonia? What was interesting about it to you?
Go ahead.
Well, Carissa had mentioned this to me, and so I say my first thing is saying yes. So she said, "Do you want to go to Patagonia?" And I said, "Of course I do," not knowing what it fully entailed. But
Sure,
of
sure.
course, it's gonna be fun because we have fun together. So, and why not go to Patagonia? So,
We
Yeah,
all
as
we
far
all
as
need a friend who will always say yes.
that's
yes, that's for sure. Definitely. Yeah, when I even heard you make mention of Patagonia, even before we launched it, I like the international hiking. It's a different environment. The culture is so different. I just like that it's a change from the usual mountains that we explore. So to be able to visit other countries and learn about them, to kind of learn the terrain, I just I enjoy that. And Patagonia was one that was already on my list. So when I saw that SoCal Hiker was going to do that, I figured what better group to go with.
Yeah, awesome. So traveling as friends, you've done some. We're talking before the podcast about how you've traveled together before. What's your dynamic, and how do you two adventure together? What is it like?
Um, we travel well together. I'm normally in charge of the driving.
I have the travel plans.
Yeah,
I
she
do the travel plans.
she is very good with the travel plans as far as the booking flights. It's funny that we kind of
Organizing,
just
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so we kind of fit into those separate roles. As far as deciding where we're going to go, it's funny that we often have the same things in mind. We have a likeness in where we want to explore, so it makes planning trips easy. From things that are local as far as our international things, aside from Patagonia, internationally, we've also gone to Mexico. So I think we just fall into those roles naturally. That's
Yeah.
why we make such good travel partners as well as such good friends.
Yes.
hmm So, what were you hoping to experience with this Patagonia trip?
Well, the different terrain and then the different cultures as well. So
Mm.
it was nice to see all the friendly people there and just the different foods, the different just the feel of the town was really nice. It took you to a different place. Obviously, we're in Argentina, but it also had different feelings of Europe as well, is what I felt. So
Yeah,
that
it's a
was that.
very international town because of they have travelers from all over the place going there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the exciting thing for me is, you talk to your avid hikers or those that, have been doing it for a while, and all of them know Fitzroy. Not all have been there, but everybody knows that mountain range and how beautiful it was. So to be able to see that in person was
Uh,
probably one of the greatest experiences of the trip for me.
Yeah. Well, this is, for me too. It was like a bucket list, one of my bucket list adventures that I, really wanted to go and visit and explore that area. And it is for a lot of people. And it's something that you can do, like you could organize your own trip. How was it going with a group of people who all had some connection to each other, even though we didn't, some of us we'd met before, or we'd hiked together before, we knew of each other through the six pack of peaks or some other things, but we didn't. We not everyone had met until we all got together. But how was it having that sort of connection with a group of 18 other people?
it was comforting to know that we weren't alone when we were there, that we all we're with the same group, but if we wanted to go off with somebody else, we could do that and we were still safe in that area to explore.
Mhm.
So we weren't just in one, we didn't have to do just one thing. We could, if somebody else was doing what we wanted to do, we could go off and do that with them as well.
Yeah,
I I
that
liked the
was nice.
the variation of, again, like you said, there was some people that we knew beforehand just from being associated with the group, and then others who I found, when we were there weren't even initially part of the SoCal group. They kind of, found the trip and joined us, and that was amazing.
Yeah,
We met some people who,
that's right.
came from different areas, had different stories, different backgrounds, different adventures to share with us, and I really enjoyed that. I like learning, from other people, get kind of ideas on maybe trips to do in the future because they've done them. So, as far as, such a large group, I enjoyed it. And like Janice was saying, that I also appreciated that the way the group was organized with our, the leader, and was kind of so that if there wasn't necessarily something you all wanted to do, there was another option. So I
Hmm.
appreciated that they
Yeah.
kind of met everybody's wants and desires on the trip.
Yeah, and this particular itinerary worked well for that because really the bulk of the time we were in Al Chaltén. We started out, you fly into El Calafate, but most of the week we were most of the most well the longest portion of the trip we were in El Chaltén, and that was our home base for the trip, and it made it kind of nice because you have a hotel there. We were able to walk to the trailhead most of the time. And then let's talk about that. Like our first warm up hike was Mirador de los Condores. What was the thing that you noticed, right away about the landscape of Argentina?
Um,
That was the first hike we did from to the
Yeah.
town. So it was like a warm up. We drive into town, we get into our hotel, and we walk through the town, and we hike up to um, a couple of high points. Just one of them overlooked one of the lakes, and the other one kind of overlooked the town.
the town, yeah.
And
Yeah.
No, we
yeah.
were aware of the hike. We were trying to figure out who was going to answer that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
um, as
That's
far
true.
as the initial hike, I thought it was so interesting, that, the rock face of that mountain, that when you went to the top, which was not significantly high, but still a very good hike, is where the condors actually built their nests and kind of situated themselves, and being able to see them flying overhead. And I think we got a better view of that when we did it the second time.
Hmm.
But both, very interesting because, I mean, we don't get that here. We don't have any hikes that, we're going to see condors flying around. We're both in California. So, for instance, we're not going to climb a mountain and we're going to see condors that are nested on the side of the mountain that are flying overhead. Just that aspect alone was is exciting for that first hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I counted. I think on I think the second time we went up there, I counted about 10 condors floating above
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Hovering around.
We saw quite a few. Each and every time we went there, we saw quite
Mhm.
a few.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about when we did, we were going to do the Laguna de los Tres, which is sort of a famous hike. You know, it's one of the hikes up to some, right to the three lakes that are up there at the base of Fitzroy. And we were there at the very end of summer. So we were there for the summer, what do you call it? The equinox, the solstice, something like
Solstice.
that. So yeah, the
Hmm.
solstice. We were there for the solstice and it had snowed. So there was
Yes.
early fall snow or late summer snow. I don't know how you want to call it, but it had snowed. And in fact, on that day, we did a hike, or we were looking to maybe do this hike, and we did a sort of a modified loop or a partial loop, and we got snowed on that hike. And
Yes.
were you surprised to see snow, even though it was sort of the end of summer?
Yes, that was very surprising for the last day of summer to be snowed on there. And very
And the temperature was so cold. I must say, though, was it a little uncomfortable? Yes, at some point, because then I just got wet, and it's
yes.
hard
Yeah.
to stay
To-
warm when you're wet. But I mean, for the most part, I remember our guide had said that the peak that obviously we didn't, reach because it was not safe. We were
Right.
like a mile, I think he said, a mile and a half off. So you know, yes, we didn't make the peak, but he said at the same time that we wouldn't be able to see anything because it was snowing and it was so overcast. And so I'm still glad that we got to do that. It was amazing to be able to hike in falling snow.
yes.
So the experience, I still think, was certainly one that I'm glad we got to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the picture of the two of you. That's that hike actually. So
Yes,
Yes.
that's
you can
correct.
see,
We're so
there's somewhere in the background there are mountains.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
actually, so that point where we're at in that picture was the clearing where you could see the glacier behind you, only you
Yes.
can't really see it.
Not there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a great time, even in spite of not being able to go all the way up. That was maybe a disappointment, but I think that's one of the things that you have to kind of be able to do is to be able to be flexible and kind of roll with what the weather brings and what the experience may change, and you have to kind of roll with it.
That's in any international trip. Even
Oh,
when
for
we
sure.
we went to Mexico, one of the first volcanoes we were supposed to climb, a really bad thunderstorm came in, and our guide was quick to turn us around. He's like, "Nope, turn back." And safety's always first. It doesn't matter how much you've paid or how bad you want to reach a peak or what have you. Safety always has to come first because, as we've learned, even in what we've done locally, the mountain and the weather always wins. So,
Yeah, and the mountain will always be there. So, it's
Of
yes,
better to
course.
be able to live to hike it another day. So,
exactly.
um, let's see. So, I think probably the highlight for me was Lomo del Pliegue Tumbado, and I may be mispronouncing that, but that's the best I can do. But it was an amazing hike. It was about, I don't know, 16 miles, 8 miles round trip, something like that, and climbed to an amazing viewpoint that overlooked the lakes and the mountains. And we had snow on the way up. It didn't snow on us, but there was snow on the ground, and it made everything look just stunning. And what was going through your mind on that particular hike? Did you find what was that one of your highlights as well? Um, what was your experience of that particular hike?
Just being in the atmosphere, being, just seeing the lakes and the Fitzroy right there, it was just amazing. It was just a once in a lifetime thing for me. So,
The exciting part of a lot of the hikes that we did in Patagonia is, you reach a lot of areas where, they'll open up to parts where you can view the glaciers. And I mean, I've seen them in pictures from other people and online, and they're gorgeous. But to see them in real life, I mean, it was breathtaking. When we came up to the top of that one where we kind of did the group picture, I mean,
Yeah.
that was amazing. It didn't even look like real life. And so to be able to view something like that with your own eyes, that makes trips all the more worth it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we had kind of a wide range of people. So I think one of the things that was interesting on that particular hike, because um, we had two hiking guides, one that would lead the group and one that was sort of the sweep.
Yes.
And I forget the name of the gal who was the lead, but I think when they first met our group, because we had a pretty wide range of ages. We had everything from like, for young, early 40s to 70. I think Damon was over 70. So, it was a pretty large range of people. And I think when she first saw our group, she made a mental note. She kind of thought, oh, boy, these people might be too slow, or they might be, you know, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. And so we're on that hike. And she tells us this later. We were on that hike that day, and she has a pretty good clip. She's cranking up the mountain, up the trail, and she thought to herself, well, I better stop and turn around and see how far ahead I am of everybody. And she, yeah, everybody was right there,
Right
like
behind her.
right behind her. So she's like, oh, wow, you guys are good.
Yeah, she
um,
did. She did at one point openly tell us that. She said that she didn't expect
Yeah.
the athletic ability that she saw in everyone.
yeah, she didn't know about the six pack of peaks challenge, and
That's right.
we've done a few hikes. Yeah.
We're a special breed of people.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Special. All right, let's shift a little bit. We'll talk about something that was kind of my first experience doing this. I don't know if it was for you, but we had a Via Ferrata one day. Have you guys done the Via Ferrata before? Either of
No,
you?
No.
no.
The
Okay.
closest I had done anything like that would have been like zip lining and some rappelling. That would have been the
Okay.
closest.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to, we get there, we had to get all suited up basically because you have a climbing harness and you have a helmet, and they're kind of giving us a little safety routine and telling us how to, what the rules are of engagement. What was going through your mind? What did you think about this? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you, not
Nervous,
sure?
nervous excitement, as per usual for me.
Yeah, I think initially when we walked across that field leading up to where the climb started, I kind of like looked up and was like, "Oh wow, this is a little bit more than I expected." But once we kind of harnessed on, and you saw that there was kind of like some steps to help you for the most part along the way. I just kept thinking in my head, "Well, if I slip, I got a harness, so it'll catch me."
True.
so
You're
Yes,
clipped in. You're
so
clipped
you're
in.
clipped in.
I didn't feel like I was nervous once I kind of took that into perspective. I loved it. That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was what an experience.
Yes.
Different from hiking, but still
A good
taking
one.
part, in the nature and the terrain. So I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, it was still an active sort of thing. And I'm with you. When we were walking through the valley and we got to sort of the base of this rock that we're climbing, and I looked up and I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I
True.
knew what a Via Ferrata was, but we were doing a fair amount of climbing. I don't know, it was like 700 or 800 feet of vertical, something like
Yeah,
that.
and
Yes.
the crazy thing with that was, we had all, I feel, been training for hiking because, that was the majority of what the trip entailed. But this was a whole other kind of physical ability,
Yes.
a lot of upper body strength. And so different, but I still loved it. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think there were some people in the group it was definitely a little outside of their comfort zone. Like there was a cable bridge, that you're standing on a single, cable and walking on that. You're holding on to two other cables as you go across that. But it was, maybe just a little nerve wracking for people. And did you have any of that? Any moments on there on the Via Ferrata that were like that?
So I felt like our group was really good about helping direct those people that were very hesitant.
Yeah.
We had a hiker so it was me in the order, me, Janice, and then the our other hiker, and she's afraid of heights. So what we did though, and I think it helped her a whole lot, was since we were ahead of her, we would kind of fill out where the best step was, or where you can kind of put your foot in the groove, or the best way to get around things, and then we would let her know, like, hey, when you
Yeah.
come up here,
Yeah.
the best place to put your foot, step here, and then you're going to pull up, and just helping to give direction, I think helped those people, because I heard people ahead of us doing the same thing.
Right.
I think that really helped kind of, calm their fear.
So we got to know each other, and we're kind of working together as, collaborating and encouraging each other, and coaching each other along the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um,
For sure.
We worked well as a group, I feel.
Yeah.
Even
yeah,
as diverse as we were, I feel like we worked really well together.
yeah. I liked at the end that there was like a little zip line segment that just went across the ravine,
Yes.
and then you're standing once you get across that. It wasn't long or anything. It was just kind of a fun thing, and you get the group regroups on the other side of that, and Fitzroy makes an appearance on cue, and we got a great shot of the group from there as well. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
That definitely was. I know when you were launching to go across, and it was kind of a little scary when they're like, make sure you push off with a little bit of energy there. And all
So
I
you don't get
kept picturing
stuck.
was I was gonna get suspended in the middle.
Spinning around going, oh, now what?
Exactly.
um, okay, so we had a great time in El Chaltén. Great meals, great food, great community, and getting to know each other. I think that was really nice to be able to break bread together and have a cold beverage or whatever, a glass of wine at the end of the day, and that was a lot of fun. Towards the end, we headed back to El Calafate, and we had a little incident in our bus along the way. Um,
Yes.
do you
It
remember
made the
when the?
trip more It made the trip more
Yeah.
memorable as we were coming back across in the bus, and because we're coming from the smaller town of El Chalten, they bring on kind of like
Canine.
with their police force with the canine dog,
Hmm.
who came onto the bus and kind of smells around and smelled something that tipped him off in someone's backpack.
He
So
alerted.
we were a little delayed, but it turned out all good.
One of the most innocent people who would
Yeah.
never be an issue at all, and she had to get off but it was kind of exciting. We're sitting there on our in our seats, and we're watching this German Shepherd come down the aisle and sniffing around, and they said, well, you can't pet it, or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then they escorted one of our other travelers off and had her go through, opened up her backpack and went through things. It was all fine, but
Yeah,
you know,
exciting for us, but I'm sure she begs to differ.
Yeah. Yeah.
she had a moment, she had a moment there,
Yeah,
It makes for a good story now.
yes,
for
that's
sure. Yeah,
true.
after the fact, knowing, once we got her out of prison, then it went much better. Yeah.
Don't embellish.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was no prison. Yeah. Um, but
But
back in El Chalten, or El Calafate, the next morning we went to the Perito Moreno Glacier, which was pretty awesome. I mean, you see pictures and you see video online of places like the Perito Moreno Glacier, which is calving off huge chunks of ice into the lake there. And you think, wow, that's pretty cool. But when you're there and you're hearing it and seeing it and just smelling it and the whole experience, it's a whole different thing. So, what would tell you guys both did the glacier walk as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
And
talk a
it's
little
funny
bit
because
about what.
initially we weren't going to,
Yeah.
right? And the trip was right around Janice's birthday. So that was my gift to her. We added some
Ah,
things on.
Oh my goodness.
But we
nice.
were so
That's a good friend.
we were so glad that we did, I
Of
mean,
course.
to even watching it from afar initially when we were kind of on the stairs that kind of step you down from the, kind of the further view, to be able to see parts of that, that glacier kind of fall off into the water.
That's
That was crazy. It
it
didn't even
was
look real. And then, the boat across and the water that's so clear underneath and so blue,
gorgeous.
and then to be able to actually step foot on the glacier, granted,
Yeah.
it's a, preset course that, the guides take you on. But,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, in the whole scope of things, how many people get to set foot on a glacier? I'm thinking not too many. So
Right. Right.
that was the definite highlight. I'm so glad we did that.
Amazing. Very
yeah.
amazing.
That was wild, and the blue ice and some of the crevasses that you look down and the little holes in the ice and things like that, and you just think, wow, this has been here for 1,000 years, and
Yeah.
traveling from the top to the bottom, and just it was kind of an amazing experience to be able to do that. Even though, like you say, it wasn't like a dangerous thing, really. It felt very
No.
safe with the guides and the way that we're following a group, and but just the experience itself was pretty amazing.
Definitely. I loved it. It was such a good experience.
Yes.
So let's talk just for a moment about like what adventure travel gives us. What did the trip awaken in you, or what surprised you about this particular trip?
Just the beauty of it. The beauty of everything from just landing at the airport and seeing the blue waters all around us that we don't see, you don't see that anywhere but there. And it was just, I don't know, just beautiful from the start to the end.
For
And I
for
know you
me, what
guys.
a mhm.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to see, for me, what a lot of these trips do is, I mean, I live a busy life. I
No,
work a lot,
blowing. Yeah.
stresses, at home. Just to be able to go someplace that's so beautiful and tackle things that sometimes I don't even think I'm capable of, it just kind of brings me to a peace, like, wow, I did that.
Mm,
It's a slow down in the sense that you're not managing your busy life. You're putting all your energy into something else. But to me, it's just kind of like an awakening. It helps kind of clear my mind and give me a sense of peace. That's what I like about it. And it
It's
doesn't even have to be international. It can
no,
just be even local. And
yeah,
that's kind of
hmm
what hiking and traveling in the mountains do for me. I've heard that a lot of hikers say that. And for me, it definitely does.
just to
yeah.
recharge. But to
Yes.
recharge in Patagonia was pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
definitely.
amazing.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
about what about traveling with a group? Because we've had 18 people. It's a pretty big group. What surprised you about traveling with a group of, such a large group in this particular case?
Well, I was just getting, I mean, there was times to be at places, so just to have everybody up and ready to go at a certain time and to be on task was nice to see. Um, and just the interaction between everyone and then their love for the mountains and again sharing about their trips, that type of thing. So,
Hmm
and getting to know a little bit about their lives and vice versa. So,
I think everyone did really good as a group as far as like timing, and because we all kind of traveled in from different areas,
yeah.
obviously. And
hmm
so flights were kind of coming in a little bit different, but I felt like everybody was really good about following directions,
Yes.
meeting when they were supposed to meet, touching base with, like, the guides when we were told to. I feel like everyone did really good with that. When we had a hike set, we had to be down for breakfast. I feel like everybody
Every,
followed that. Everybody
yeah,
worked really well together as far as meeting timelines and stuff.
How would you say like this adventure deepened your friendship, Carissa and Janice? Would you say, and it may not be that this particular trip, had a specific significance, but just adventure travel trips that you've done together, how has that deepened your relationship, your friendship?
The fact that we're really close friends is really helpful in traveling. For instance, we know each other well, so we watch for each other. There's been hikes, maybe not necessarily in Patagonia, where the other one's not feeling well. And we're both really stubborn, so we don't necessarily tell the other, but the other one's really good at picking that up. I mean, for instance, we did a Whitney hike shortly after Janice lost her father. And she wanted to do it because she wanted to do it for him, but I knew it was a difficult hike for her. So we kind of, made sure that we let her emotions lead that hike. But we do that for each other, the same instance when I lost my nephew and we did hikes in honor of them. We're really good at reading each other and knowing if it's the right thing to keep going. Is it the right thing to turn around? And so even, going on these trips, like, the Patagonia trip, it just deepened the fact that we're very watchful for one another. We like to revel in the beauty of things and shared moments. That deepens our friendship in general. And so Patagonia was just one other piece that helped do that.
Mhm. Awesome. So if you knew somebody, a friend or somebody else who might be on the fence about doing a trip like the trip to Patagonia or a Kilimanjaro or New Zealand trip, what would you tell somebody that might tip the scale in favor of saying yes?
uh, well, I come from a place of yes. I mean,
Why is that? So why is that though? I mean, there, some of us have a natural inclination to want to say yes, but what about saying yes is good in your mind?
well, if you're with, well, number one, I was with Carissa, so that's going to make it that much more enjoyable. It's just to experience that. If you have a group of people together, you're going to, I felt more safe, and you're going to a different part of the world to explore and to see things you've never seen before.
Hmm.
So why not? You only live once. So that's where my place of yes comes from. It's like, when else are you going to do that with your best friend, or with somebody that you're in a relationship with? It's just an amazing, amazing experience. And I wouldn't want to miss out on it.
Hmm.
The thing that I think is important, and I've done myself, and I've kind of helped do with others, is when someone's been kind of hesitant, I try to seek out people who have maybe done that trip prior. Maybe they have particular concerns about the trip. Not too long ago, I had someone reach out to me about your Kilimanjaro trip because I've done it, and they had a number of questions. What's the weather? How did you train? What's best as far as food for energy? Just a number of questions. And sometimes I think that that is the issue with people hesitant to go on trips, is the unknown. You haven't been
Hmm.
there. You're not sure what to expect. So sometimes if you can seek out someone who's done it, they can answer questions, and then that just sets your mind at ease. Like, okay, this doesn't sound as bad as I was expecting. So I
Hmm.
think, when you're unsure about
Yeah.
something, you seek out those that maybe can give you some information that have personally done it.
And again, that's the balance between the two of us.
Yeah.
So what she doesn't know, I know, and vice versa. So
True.
we share that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I like to one of the things that I like to do is put something on the calendar because I feel like writing it, having a bucket list adventure, whether it's climbing Kilimanjaro or visiting, adventuring in Patagonia or New Zealand or something like that, is great. We all have our bucket list of things that we want to do, or your life list, as I like to call them. that having that list is a first step, but actually like pulling out a calendar and looking at your budget and, actually putting down some dates and planning for something like this makes it real. Then it's like, oh wow. I don't, I'll share a personal story. I don't really like to run. I've run for a lot of my life. I've run. I've run marathons. I've run half marathons. I've done a lot of running over the course of my life. I don't really like to run, and my knees won't let me run the same way that I did when I was younger. But one of the things that would really motivate me was signing up for an event like a half marathon. And then I would knew, well, now I've got to do the work to get ready for that half marathon. And it's kind of like that, like signing up for something like whether it be Patagonia or Kilimanjaro. Not only, you have skin in the game because, I put some cash down on this trip. I bought airline tickets and other things. Um, I may be able to get some refunds if something happens, but I don't want to go through that hassle. I want to follow through with my goal. And so I also need to make sure I'm prepared physically and mentally and trained. And I've taken the time off, I got the vacation time off and all of those things. And that's to me a helpful way to kind of the move the needle in the direction that I want to go. If I want to actually accomplish these things and be able to have these experiences and these adventures, I need to do those, that kind of action and make it into a plan to get me there. So I appreciate that you guys, did that and that you joined our group. You brought a lot of life to our group and a lot of fun and smiles. We had a great time. Um, we saw some amazing experiences and we got to share that experience together. And it's kind of cool because now I still like we had a contingent from Southern California. I think we had a contingent from like the Bay Area, a lot of people who had done the Bay Area challenge. We had Damon and Joanne who had done the Arizona challenge, and I still am connecting with all of those people through social media, through Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and kind of keeping in touch with what everyone's up to. Damon and Joanne just got back from a trip they were in New Zealand and Australia and a couple other places. I think they went to Tasmania, and we met up with them when we were doing our Utah trip back in April for a few nights and camp together. So it's really cool to be able to
Oh,
build
that's
Oh,
nice.
friendships that way,
Yeah,
and maintain those connections. I think that's one of the other really nice things about a group trip like this, where you have some kind of common thread. In this case, our hiking, our passion for hiking in the outdoors, a connection through social hikers and the Six Pack of Peaks community, and then we get a chance to meet each other face to face and do some really fun things. Well,
definitely.
yeah.
it's been really fun talking with y'all. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm gonna hopefully get this thing published in the next week or two, and we can share this with the rest of the folks. Um, I'm gonna close this up.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
We enjoy being part of SoCal and all the
Yes.
adventures.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And hopefully we can do that again sometime, somewhere, some other adventure in the future. It'd be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
If today's conversation inspired a little wanderlust, I'd love for you to join me on one of my upcoming international adventures. This March, we're heading to the South Island of New Zealand. This is going to be an unbelievable place to hike, kayak, wine taste. We're going to bicycle. We're going to explore and connect. The key is there's a deadline. We need you to register by December 20th. We have 3 early bird spots that need to be filled by then. And in October, we're taking on the Salcantay Trek in Peru and visiting and exploring Machu Picchu. It's one of those bucket list trips that kind of stays with you forever. And you can find links to both of those trips linked in the show notes. And if you, or you can leave a comment and I'll get in touch with you directly. Would love to see you join me in the mountains of New Zealand or Peru.